The $4 million Breeders' Cup Turf is the 8th of 9 on day 2 and the 13th of 14 Breeders' Cup races, and it appears that the Europeans have a major edge. The best way to play the Breeders' Cup Turf, all the Breeders' Cup action, all of your action throughout the year, all over the world, is through NYRABets. If you're not a member, head over to NYRABets.com, use the promo code CUP25, free $25 bet, as well as matching up to $200 your initial deposit. And in my opinion, the European should be the first, the second, the third, and the fourth choices. Now headed by Magical, who ran second 2 years ago to the incredible Enable, but you've got the 3-year-old filly Tarnawa in this race. I'm sorry, 4-year-old filly Tarnawa. You've got Mogul, you've got Lord North. You have a very potent foursome of Europeans in this race. And we'll start with Magical, who was absolutely magical 2 races back in the Irish Champion when she ran down the very, very good Gaiath. This was a sensational effort. She took it to Gaiath the entire way around the racetrack, and she was able to beat that one. Excellent effort by her in the Irish Champion. Now, she followed it up by not running as well on a soft course a month later, or 5 weeks later, in the Champion at Ascot. I don't want to hold that much against her, but I don't like that she didn't run her customary good race. Now, I've been playing against Aidan O'Brien horses throughout the Breeders' Cup, and I'm not against Magical, but I still don't want to take her at the shortest of prices. She's had a pretty heavy load. Listen, she's an amazing mare. She's had an incredible career, and she is the one to beat in here. I just didn't put her on top. She's facing a very nice 4-year-old filly in Tarnawa, who comes into this race off a win in the Prix de l'Opera, as well as the Group 1 Prix Vermeil. Was an art prep, but they decided to run her in the Prix de l'Opera instead. She's good. She's very good. The question you have to ask yourself is, did her connections make a mistake in trying the $4 million Breeders' Cup Turf, and they should have run her in the filly and mare turf? Well, I guess you could answer that after the race. I love those Aga Kong races. You have to respect the very great trainer, Dermot Weld, who doesn't come here fooling around. If he thinks she belongs in this race, who am I to argue with her? She shouldn't have a problem with the 1.5 miles. She was brilliant making the big run in the Prix de l'Opera. I think she's a major player in this Breeders' Cup Turf, no matter how you cut it. The other Aidan O'Brien horse is the 3-year-old colt Mogul, who comes off of the best win in his career when he won the Grand Prix de Paris at Longchamp last time out. They skipped the arc, and you could argue this horse fits my bill of horses that were pointing for the Breeders' Cup as opposed to other races. And I think that might work for him, for Aidan O'Brien. I just don't know if he's good enough. This is the best race he ever ran, and I still don't think it's good enough to beat any of the 3 other major Europeans in this race. Yeah, he was dominant in winning, but this was not the strongest of fields, and I think the major player in this race did not show up with one of his good efforts. Still, you have to respect Mogul. He's certainly dangerous in here. But the European I'm going to put on top might be the best price of all of these 4 horses, and that is the number 6, Lord North. And we'll look at his big effort in the 1.25 mile Prince of Wales. And I say 1.25 mile because he's never run 1.5 miles, but is John Gosden really going to ship this one over for 1.5 miles if he doesn't think he can handle the distance? This was a brilliant win. The horse he buried who finished second, a distant second, he's the one who beat Magical last time in the English Champion, so he's a very, very good one. He didn't run that badly behind Gaiath, and he was beaten just 1.25 lengths to Magical before he simply didn't handle the soft going like a lot of Gosden's horses in English Champions. He's not a trainer that ships over for this race unless he feels he's going to run well. And I think Lord North might be the best price of any of these, and he is good enough to win it on his best race, and I am hopeful that he runs his best race in the Breeders' Cup Turf. Let's look at a couple of the U.S. horses. I do think Arklow has a chance out of them, but let's look at Channel Maker, who certainly comes into this race as the now horse. But he's also had the run of the race in his last 2. He loved the soft going and was able to dominate in front in Saratoga 2 back, and he got onto that very strong rail when the rails had come down at Belmont Park and was able to control a relatively subpar field in the Turf Classic. Listen, he ran 2 huge Beyer figures, the best figures he's ever run. He is in a peak form as a 6-year-old for Bill Mott, and you know that Manny Franco's going to put him in front here. That's what he's done, and he'll try to wire the field. He's actually the one American I have in my top 4. I've always loved this horse, but I don't know if he's good enough to take on these Europeans. Let's look at the very game United, and we'll take a look at his last race, a win in the John Henry at Santa Anita. He's a very, very nice horse, and I don't want to knock him. He finished second for the talented Bricks and Mortar last year, but let's be honest. Last year's Breeders' Cup Turf was not as tough as the one he's in today. The Europeans came for this race in a way that they did not come last year. And he's a very good, honest horse. I don't think he's as good as the Europeans he meets. I respect him, but to me, it's pretty much all about the Europeans in the Breeders' Cup Turf. I have the number 6, Lord North, on top. I put him over the 3, Tarnawa, the brilliant race mare, Magical, third, and the 9, Channel Maker, a sentimental favorite of mine. He's 4th in the Breeders' Cup Turf, a race that I expect to be all about the Euros, and a race that you need to play through Naira Bets. Head on over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member, use the promo code CUP25. We'll give you a free $25 bet, as well as matching up to $200 of that initial deposit.